Hey, horror fans, bored now, back with Rachel McDonald, and we return to the Wrong Term franchise. This is Wrong Term 3 Left 4 Dead. Great subtitle. These subtitles are going to be interesting as we go along to see what else they can come out with. I'm
Yep.
not quite sure why this one is called Left 4 Dead. Convicts are being escorted to another location, another prison, and of course their bus gets knocked off the road, and that becomes the center where them and like the surviving prison guards, they're obviously trying to flee from the the cannibals trying to survive their threat. There's also a plot where, because the prison guard or the prisoners, sorry, now have control, and particularly this lovely fellow called Chavez. He's the main sort of like head on honcho, and they come across a truckload of money, and you get a whole thing where obviously he's orchestrating this plan to get away with the money. There's like a younger like guard type thing who apparently knows the town, knows the area, so he supposedly knows where they can get to like a station where like Chavez can make a phone call. So I have a character called Alex who's like at the start of the film, she's there with her friends. Her friends get killed in typically gory fashion, and she then becomes kind of the final girl. She gets like sort of becomes kidnapped as well by Chavez and the others, and kind of, I mean, her and Nate, the prison guard, is sort of the two in a way good guys of the movie, and there is like one prisoner who's a bit more obviously meant to be like the token sort of like nicer sort of prisoner.
Yeah.
He's ex-army. There seems to be something with this franchise and army characters, but
Mm.
anyway. So Wrong Term 3, Left for Dead. What did you think, Rachel?
Well, I have to say, you paid a lot more attention to the movie than I did. I didn't get anybody's names. I didn't really
Yeah.
like pick up on any dynamics. My very first note on this when I started watching was, I so do not want to watch this because I had just finished the second one, and I was just like, oh my god, this can't get any worse. Well, guess what? It got worse. I swear to God,
I
as I
agree.
was watching this film, I could feel my IQ dropping. Like, this film made me feel so dumb. It was such a dumb film. First of all, the very first scene, and again, I don't know if this is because I was watching the unrated version, but like right off the
Yeah.
bat, 2 minutes in, we've got some chick just whipping her tits out because
Oh, of
why not?
course. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Because it's got anything to do with anything. And then like her friend is like, oh, you're such an exhibitionist because
Mm.
people talk like that. Oh my
and
god.
and
And
her standard of acting was definitely that of a porn star's as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was a porn star or something.
I know. That was my thought too. Oh, and then I was just like, there is no subtlety in this film. Like, there was no subtlety in the previous film, but there was no subtlety in
Even
this film.
less, yeah.
Even less. And the CGI in this film, wasn't it just the worst? It was
Yeah.
that scene where the guy gets like, I think it was like right in the opening where he gets like bisected or trisected, and it was like,
The triple, yeah. Because there's obviously a bunch of her friends get killed, and like the first couple didn't look too bad, but that one, yeah, that looked terrible. That looked like just someone
that
whipped it up on a computer, yeah.
I was like, I could do better than this, and I can't even do CGI effects. So, like, dude. Then when we started getting to like the prison setting, I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I guess because I mean, there's only so many times you can say people got lost in the woods and attacked by cannibals. So I guess they wanted to like stir things up and be like, oh, this time we're going to make them prisoners and we're going to throw in like a money bit and a power
Oh,
play, and it
yeah.
was just so stupid.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even
Terrible.
know if any of these characters are worth talking about. And then when the bus crashed, I was like, oh great, so it's D grade Con Air, but on a bus and with cannibals. Like that was the vibe I was getting.
Yeah,
Like
that's
they
a
wanted,
good,
the whole
yeah,
prisoners take over.
comparison.
Except Con Air is actually a fun movie and a good one to watch.
Oh
This
yeah,
was just, oh my gosh. And then of course, when you had the final girl come in, or the final girl come and join them, of course, we have to make the obligatory rape threats and, rape comments
yeah,
towards her. And
yeah.
I mean, I was very glad that they didn't actually go there because I was like getting very, very worried. But it was just like, why? What
Just
is
the
with the lack of
predictable.
subtlety?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we get it. You're prisoners, you're bad guys. We don't have to start talking about like doing stuff to this girl and threatening her. And oh, it was just, for me, it was, again, I got to about the 40-minute mark and I just started to watch on fast forward with subtitles because I was like, I feel so stupid. This movie is making me feel so stupid and I don't like feeling stupid. What about you? How did you go?
But yeah, and you know what's so stupid about all that stuff is the
Yeah.
prisoners really are the main characters, and it got to the
Hmm.
point where I realised near the end of the film, I had a sort of a light bulb moment where I was like, is Travers the main character? And in a way he is. Is that who they've gone with as the main character?
Yep,
And he's
I know,
terrible.
right?
He's like the most unconvincing, hard man ever. He has no charisma. The
No.
dialogue in this film is absolutely terrible. It's so repetitive. It's a lot of, you're fucking with me, or just stuff like
Exactly.
that over and over again.
Yeah.
Like just
Uh-huh.
cartoonish. I can't even remember it now, but just lines like that, and just
Yeah, no, you're right. Like every 5 minutes,
the
it's like, oh,
most
you fucking with
phony
me? Are you messing with
shows.
me? You want to end up dead? I'm gonna fucking mess you up. It's like, dude, like just calm down, take a chill pill. What the
Yeah, it's
hell?
almost like, if a soap opera had lots of swearing in it, sort of thing. And yeah, the prisoners just had no threat to them. I didn't, and apart from obviously, as I said, the token nicer one, the rest were just typical, stereotypical thugs that just didn't stand out in any way. But the problem is, yeah, you just don't care about them, and in a way, they're like the main characters of the film,
Hmm.
and I didn't really believe anybody was who they were supposed to be, like the prison guards, and like you had like the coloured one who was the driver. He was really a terrible actor, and
Hmm.
at points I'm sure he was like smiling when he wasn't supposed to be and stuff like that. And just like the conversations, I mean, the whole thing about Nate, having this sort of ambition to like train to be a lawyer and
Yeah.
have a new career, and just the way they were having conversations just felt so sort of cartoonish, and it felt really random, like they put no thought into this. Because the scene that sort of cracked me up because of how dumb it was is when they're discussing the whole thing to do with Wall Street, the Wall Street film, because
Oh.
because obviously when they find out about this money, Nate,
Mm.
who bear in mind is meant to be a good guy, is actually considering nabbing off with the money.
That's
And
right.
so he starts talking about it, and he says, "Oh well, it is. Oh yeah, this is it." Because he comes up with this ridiculous conspiracy theory because this is around the time of the financial crash and all that.
Yes.
So he comes up with this ridiculous conspiracy theory that it was all like the government doing it on purpose so that he couldn't buy a house. And I'll give it props for that because that was a genuine funny sort of scene. But he starts talking about the movie
Oh.
with Michael Douglas in the 80s
Oh my
when he went to
god.
court and he got off.
Yeah.
And
For the
and we were
gecko.
watching it on stream, and what was that movie called? He kept saying, and I kept shouting Wall Street,
Wall
and
Street.
I expected it to come to him, and it didn't. And then he seems to give the movie a different name, like Chamber something or other. And it's like, well, couldn't they get the rights to Wall Street, so they just called it a different name? Or
Yeah,
is he,
that's weird.
or is that some sort of gag where he's just getting the name of the movie wrong? But it was this weird sort of moment where I wasn't sure if it was meant to be a gag or they couldn't get the rights to the movie. Or, I mean, you're only saying Wall Street. I'm sure you could just say the name of the film, but yeah, that whole conspiracy theory line was ridiculous.
I know. It's like we have a film with cannibals and escaped convicts, and yet we're going to have a semi-serious conversation about the GFC. Like, read the room.
Yeah, again, they're just
terrible.
force feeding it in it. Because even his stuff, like Nate's stuff, with okay, I can kind of buy that someone in his position who probably doesn't get paid that much for that job. I can sort of buy that he might be tempted for the money, getting the money and improving his life, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
obviously, in this sort of movie, it's not really given any sort of weight where it's like an intriguing dilemma one way or the other, and you just think, well, you're the good guy, you idiot. I mean, your concern right now should be saving, this innocent girl, Alex. She wasn't too bad. She was okay, and the actress wasn't too bad. Going to be the final girl, but they never really did much with her.
No.
I think her best scene was probably when she fought back against the Nazi guy. When he, threatening to rape her and stuff like that. And yeah. So she had quite a good scene there where she did fight back and was quite tough. But overall, she was very in and out, and she was an okay character, but I sort of expected she would be the final girl more so, and there'd be more focus on her convoluted than even two, really, because they added this whole thing about the money and just
that was just weird. That was it was almost like maybe there were like two separate scripts, like one where some convicts escaped and one where they wanted to make another wrong turn movie, and they just went, okay, hey, let's mash these two scripts together and then just not care whether or not they actually make narrative sense. And I found this one, like, at least with number 2, I was so like incredulous and so busy like laughing and stuff that I at the very least it went pretty quickly. This one I found so boring. Like, I was just watching it and I was just like, oh my God, would this movie end already? And so I said the last one I was fluctuating between laughing at how bad it was and being grossed out. Well, this one I was fluctuating between being completely bored and then being completely horrified by how over the top and gratuitous it was. Like that climax scene where she finds her friend in the cabin, and again, her friend is butt naked and hog-tied with barbed wire. Like, Jesus Christ, we do not need to like see that level of it felt outside the realms of like slasher violence. This felt like something you would see on like Criminal Minds or something, like really sadistic, like serial killer stuff. And it just took me, like, when I got to that scene, it took me right out of the movie. I was just like, whoa, this is too much. This is just way too gratuitous. And when you add that to like all the rape threats that they'd made towards the girl, I was like, whoever made this movie, I think they really hate women. I think they got some issues.
They
should probably go see a shrink.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the kills were just so bad with the CGI. Like, there was another one of the prisoners got like an axe to the face or something, but there was like another death where someone's entire face got mangled, and I was like, this is the worst CGI I have like seen in a movie from this era. It was so bad.
It got to the point where you're sort of like, someone on stream last night made a gag about the opening canoe scene. Even that looks fake. It looks like a fake canoe scene. And later on, when there's a helicopter, the scene where Nate's trying to get its attention. And I don't know why it doesn't see him. It's got a spotlight and everything. It's like,
right?
What the fuck? Oh, were they high or something? But again, that looks like a model, like a toy helicopter or something. It looks so fucking phony. And And again, just stuff with like the cannibals, again, just how elaborate they are. The whole premise is that they actually go after the truck. You know, they drive after the truck. Again, I don't know how they know how to drive, but it's like a chase, you know, like you would get in an action style movie. But again, it's as we pointed out last night, it's like surely they just target people who are in the woods at the time. Who are they don't go out of their way and see, well, there's someone on the road. I mean, I'll chase them down. You wouldn't have thought that's how it works with these
No.
cannibals. Them using like a pendulum at some point. I mean, they've got a lot of time on their hands building all these.
I was going to say, yeah, they you know, they must spend all their free time just setting up all of this shit to run after all these random people. But I was thinking that too in this one. I was like, are they deliberately like hunting these guys? I thought they were just cannibals by happenstance. You know, people wander into their woods, they kill them and they eat them. But this was like, no, they're like an actual tribe. They're like getting organized and they're going out to like hunt people down. Was just so over the top. And again, like, because we talked about, like, when we were talking about with Wrong Turn 2 in that review, we're talking about how the very first movie, the cannibals are a threat, but they're a very distant threat, you know? It was more of a survival film. They were used very sparingly, and therefore their impact was much greater. But here, you just see them everywhere. They're just running around all willy-nilly, doing whatever they want. It takes all the threat and the menace out of them. And once again, we're in unfortunate territory of deformity equals. You know, when we get to the final remake, I think they're finally going to correct this. But for all these sequels, we're going to have to deal with this very non-PC, very badly aged concept of inbred cannibals.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple of scenes that did make me laugh. I mean, the scene when he's having.
But were they supposed to make you laugh?
Well, I don't know, maybe, and that might be giving them too much credit. But the scene where Chavez is having this thing with the Nazi guy, and he gets set on fire, and so does the money, I think. And just again, their dialogue, the way they're just screaming threats at each other, insults, and him just going up on fire, and Chavez goes nuts. I mean, that was pretty funny stuff. Again, maybe unintentional, but
I don't think that was supposed to be as funny as it was. Oh dear. I'm really wondering though how these films got made. Like I was wondering that when I was watching it, because usually what happens with these franchises is you have a first movie that does really well. Now I'm not sure how well the first Wrong Turn did, but I'm assuming it did decent enough to warrant the second sequel. You know, because it wasn't that bad a film. But then once they made the second film, and the second film was so bad, how did they keep greenlighting sequel after sequel after sequel when the quality is just so terrible? And so, it really begs the question of who decided to sit down and say, yes, this is going to be a good franchise. Let's make all these movies. Someone was smoking something when they were making that executive decision.
Yeah, I think it's similar to like the Tremors franchise, because Tremors is one where there's like a lot of sequels. Like there's about 10 sequels, and
jeez.
I've sort of heard some of them are quite entertaining, but I think it's a similar thing where the original film was obviously a big enough hit and has a name, so they can then sort of live off them. And it's one of those things, I think, just because they're so cheap to make, then they tend to do well enough, sort of thing, to sort of keep it rolling. But yeah, I agree with you, really. I think this was even more tedious and even more dumb. And there's a couple of scenes where it was dumb in an entertaining sort of way, but by and large, just the whole production, it was sort of like a soap opera, and it made a lot of like CW shows look like high art sort of thing. The music was absolutely terrible. The music was even more lame than the last movie. It was like the sort of anyone with just a smidge of knowledge about like action music that you would have. It's that sort of thing, but done with like no
Uh,
originality or anything.
mm,
And you just get dumb stuff. I thought the scene where they stop off and they pretty much just drop him for a cup of coffee with like the other, like, you know, like that older like sheriff, and you've got the girl as
mm.
well. And
Yes,
I mean,
yes, that was a weird B plot. Yeah, I
well,
forgot
it's
about
just,
that.
yeah, they're like, I guess it's just set up later because they come looking for them. But even
Mm,
so, it's just it's pretty dumb. They're meant to
mm.
be escorting these dangerous prisoners, and they're meant to be like keeping it secret, and it's like, well, why take the chance? And yeah, I think it's just to set up the plot later. But I just love the idea of them stopping off for coffee on their way to like transporting these dangerous prisoners, because that's pretty much what that scene was.
Oh, so true. Oh, so
Yeah,
bad. There's very little logic in this movie. So, yeah,
yeah.
very bad. I can't believe we have 4 more movies of this to do.
Or more. So
Oh,
the next one is the other one I've seen, which is 4, and
okay.
I would say this is worse than 2. They're
Yeah.
probably pretty close, but I would say this is worse than 2. So this concerning trend where it's becoming a joke with me, where I sort of say after each one, well, that has to be the worst now. It can't be any worse. So I dare not say it again. Now, as I said, I have seen 4 and it's bad, but I don't think it's as bad. So I think there
Okay.
might be, again, you're talking about by comparison, probably more so. They do change the location, at least. It's the one at the ski lodge, so we at
Well, that
least
at least could be
get a
interesting.
different
Yeah,
location.
change of location, maybe some different set pieces. We might get some more interesting depth, so that could be good. But yeah, it's hard to imagine it getting worse than this. But you
Worse,
never know. Maybe they'll
you
prove us
never know.
wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Camille, one of the regulars, seems to think that 6 is even worse than that's the worst. So we've still got
Oh,
that
something to look forward
potential.
to.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And apparently 4's the one where they do explain more on the mythology. So that's something a bit
Okay.
random,
Well, maybe
waiting
we're in for
for
something
maybe soon.
interesting.
But yeah, check that one out. So that'll be coming soon. So I can probably guess your score, but what are you gonna
Well,
rate?
I gave number 2 1 out of 10 because I don't like rating films 0. This one's worse than 2. So because I can't go with 0, we're going to go with 0.5
Well,
out
that's
of 10.
brilliant. That's
And
a
that's
great
only
score.
because I will not rate a film 0 because at the very least, like I said in the last review, it's still a film. Someone still went and made it and took the effort to
Yeah.
do it however badly. So 0.5 out of 10 for me. What about you?
Okay. Well, I'll go with 1. As I
Yeah.
said, it's a drop down. I gave the last one 2, and so it's a 1. So, yeah, couple of good scenes, but overall, yeah, one of the worst movies I've ever made, and well done to this franchise, because I think it's now given me 2 of the worst films I've ever seen, which
Hmm.
is saying something. So
Yeah, yeah,
so
you're gonna
let's
watch the
hope.
Rob Zombie Halloweens now and think that they're like
Yeah.
high cinema after watching these.
Well, it's different. It's a different sort of thing. But
Oh, Keith's
okay.
followers, I'm coming for you. This is all your guys' fault. Not happy with you. You better give us a good franchise to do next.
Yeah, and it's all funny because we speculated that it might have been an Elijah thing, which
Mm-hmm.
but surely you guys knew she was only in the first film. Uh, I think they tried to get her for 2, because I
Yes,
think
I
I
heard that
read
they tried to get her
something
to do a
that
cameo. Mm,
cameo in 2, and
yeah.
not surprising. And not let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We are, of course, continuing with the Wrong Term franchise. Also, share us out on social media. You can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/boardnow. For some extras, I haven't done anything for a while on there, but you can get extras like commentaries, movie, TV commentaries, and different things. As I get more into it, I'll try different stuff out on there. But you can support me for as little as $1 a month. I also do TV reviews, other movies reviews on a horror theme. A show I'm doing right now is the Netflix Korean zombie series, which is We Are All Dead, which is a new series which started this past week. So I've done the first episode of that. Probably I would have done the second episode by the time this goes up. So that's a new show which is current on Netflix, and again horror themed. If you want to follow my reviews of that on that for something else horror related. Rachel, if you want to plug your channel too.
You can follow me at Rachel McDonald. Video essays on TV shows and movies, not on this franchise. I will not be doing a deep dive into Wrong Turn at all. But I do have a Scream retrospect, which should hopefully be up by the time this video is up. So that is a very long one where I dive into the Scream franchise and I cover a wide variety, mostly supernatural TV shows from the 90s. I have a lot of Charmed videos, Buffy. So if you're into nostalgia, just come and follow my channel. And my links to Twitter and Tumblr are also on my YouTube. So follow me everywhere, guys. It'll be lovely to see you. And don't make us watch another bad franchise.
Oh, we surely will. Or whether it's a franchise as bad as this, I mean, who knows? But might be a low bar to aim for. But okay, and I'll put the link in the description to Rachel's channel as well. So thanks for listening. We'll be back soon. Take care, guys. See you later.